You say you'll start tomorrow, next week, next year, when things are calmer, when you feel more ready. But what if tomorrow never comes? What if the perfect moment you're waiting for is just a lie your fear keeps telling you? Because here's the truth. Most people don't run out of time. They just never start. 1. The need to control everything. There's a part of you that wants everything to go according to plan. It wants people to act the way you expect. It wants life to be predictable, fair, and safe. It wants certainty, so you plan. You double-check. You analyze every outcome. You hold tight. And when things don't go as imagined, you feel stress. You feel frustration. You feel like the world is somehow failing you. This is the burden of control. And the more you carry it, the heavier your life becomes. You try to control what others think of you. You try to control how people behave. You try to control how your future unfolds. You even try to control your emotions. Not with understanding, but with suppression. But the truth is, the need to control everything is rooted in fear. Fear of uncertainty, fear of chaos, fear of being powerless. And the more you cling to control, the more out of control you feel. The Stoics knew this. They taught that peace doesn't come from controlling the external world, but from mastering your response to it. Epictetus said, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." That's the dividing line. That's where sanity begins. You cannot control whether someone loves you back, but you can control how you love yourself. You cannot control what people say about you, but you can control whether you take it personally. You cannot control every outcome, but you can control how you show up for it. Control what you can, release what you can't. This is not about being passive. It's about being wise. Because trying to control everything is not strength. It's anxiety wearing a mask. And it's exhausting. When you let go of the need to control, you don't lose power. You gain clarity. You stop wasting energy on things that are not yours to carry. You stop micromanaging life. You start trusting that uncertainty is not your enemy, but your teacher. You begin to see that most of life's beauty lies in what's unexpected, the unplanned moments, the detours, the imperfection. When you're too busy controlling, you miss those moments. You suffocate them. Let go of needing everything to make sense. Let go of needing everyone to agree with you. Let go of needing all your ducks in a row before you breathe. Freedom begins where control ends. Letting go isn't giving up. It's opening up to a deeper kind of peace, to a flexible strength, to the kind of power that doesn't come from force, but from presence. And ironically, when you stop trying to control everything, you actually gain more influence, because your energy becomes clean, your mind becomes calm, and your heart becomes open. Control is not your safety. Clarity is. Awareness is. Self-trust is. And those things don't come from gripping tighter. They come from learning to release. So ask yourself, what are you holding too tightly today? What are you afraid will fall apart if you stop trying to manage every piece? And then gently say, I release what isn't mine to carry, and I return to what I can actually influence. My thoughts, my actions, my breath, this moment. That's where peace begins. Reflections. You don't need to control everything. You just need to control how you show up. Let go of the outcome. Focus on your response. The tighter you grip, the more peace slips away. Release what's not yours. Return to what is. Presence is your anchor. Clarity is your guide. Breathe and let life unfold. 2. Holding on to past mistakes. There are moments in your life that still haunt you. Words you wish you hadn't said. Decisions you wish you hadn't made. Chances you didn't take. People you hurt or let hurt you. And every time they come back to mind, you feel that quiet sting of regret. Regret is a heavy visitor. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It lingers. It tightens your chest in the quiet moments. And if you're not careful, it starts to define who you think you are. You carry your past like a backpack full of bricks, quietly, everywhere. Even when no one sees it, you feel the weight. But here's what you need to know. Your mistakes are not your identity. They're events. They're lessons. They're chapters. Not your whole story. The Stoics knew this deeply. They didn't believe in living in guilt. They believed in reflection, not self-punishment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." What happened, happened. You can't erase it, but you can change what it means to you. You can let it grow you, or you can let it imprison you. Holding on to your past mistakes doesn't make you wise. It just keeps you stuck. Stuck in shame. Stuck in what ifs. Stuck in a version of you that no longer exists. But you're not that version anymore. You've lived since then. You've learned. You've outgrown the mindset that made those choices. Isn't that the whole point? You don't learn by being perfect. You learn by being human. By falling, by taking the wrong path and realizing it, then changing course. Mistakes are proof that you're trying, that you're in motion, that you're alive. What matters now is not what you did, but what you do with it. Do you use it to grow, to offer more empathy to others, to set better boundaries, to lead with more awareness? Or do you use it to punish yourself endlessly? To sabotage your progress? To doubt your worth? Let me tell you something plainly. You don't need to keep bleeding for wounds that are already closed. You don't have to keep proving you've changed, especially to people who've made their minds up about you. You only need to prove it through the way you live now. Growth doesn't always look like transformation. Sometimes it's as simple as no longer choosing what once broke you. And forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't saying, "It's okay." It's saying, "I won't let this define me anymore." Forgiveness is a form of freedom, and that includes forgiving yourself. You're not here to be perfect. You're here to evolve, to grow, to show up better today because of yesterday, not in spite of it. You are not broken. You are rebuilding. And that version of you who made mistakes, they were doing their best with what they knew. Now you know better, so you do better. Release the version of yourself who didn't know. Let them rest. Honor them for surviving. And walk forward with who you are now. Reflections. You can't heal by holding on. You heal by letting go. The past cannot be rewritten, but it can be reframed. You're not your worst moment. You are who you became after it. Don't let shame write your story. Let wisdom take the pen. Breathe, forgive, grow, and move on. 3. Constantly seeking approval. You post something online, then check who liked it. You speak your mind, but quickly scan the room to see who agrees. You dress a certain way, not for comfort, but to be accepted. You shape your life, your words, your actions around the question, will they approve? And without realizing it, you start living someone else's life, not yours. This is the hidden cost of approval seeking. It starts as a desire to be seen, to be validated, to be loved. But if left unchecked, it becomes a cage. You stop saying what you believe. You say what will get applause. You stop doing what feels right. You do what feels accepted. You stop listening to your soul and start performing for the crowd. But here's the truth. Approval is a moving target. What earns praise today may earn silence tomorrow. You can please one person and disappoint another, doing the exact same thing. You lose either way. The Stoics warned against this trap. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." He knew that chasing approval would drain your spirit, because it asks you to abandon yourself, piece by piece, for the comfort of someone else's smile. But here's what they don't tell you. Even when you get their approval, it doesn't satisfy you for long, because deep down, you know it wasn't earned from your truth. It was earned from your performance, and performances always end. Approval is like sugar, quick energy, fast gratification, but no substance, and soon you crash. So how do you break free? You stop asking, "Do they like me?" and start asking, "Do I respect myself?" You shift from external validation to internal integrity, from impression to intention. You begin to live in alignment, even when no one claps, even when no one sees, even when you're misunderstood, because freedom doesn't come from applause. It comes from peace with yourself. And peace begins when you say, "I no longer need permission to be who I am." This doesn't mean you become rude or ignore the wisdom of others. It means you stop giving strangers the pen to write your story. It means you stop needing every voice to echo your own. You are not a product for public consumption. You are a person with depth, with nuance, with values. And if those values cost you approval, let them, because the price of self-betrayal is far higher. You don't need to convince everyone. You don't need to be everyone's favorite. You just need to be honest, consistent, rooted. The people who matter will respect that. The rest were never really listening. Let go of the craving to be liked by everyone. It's not real peace. It's just quiet panic. Be someone your younger self would admire. Be someone your future self will thank. That's the only approval that matters. Reflections. Not everyone will understand you. That's okay. Not everyone will like you. That's freedom. Stop editing your truth just to fit in. You were not made to blend. You were made to be real. Let go of applause. Choose authenticity. Walk your path, even if you walk alone. 4. Comparing yourself to others. You scroll through your feed and see someone who seems more successful, more attractive, more confident, more something. And before you realize it, you start shrinking, not because they did anything to you, but because comparison quietly whispered, "You're behind." That's how it begins, not as a loud judgment, but as a subtle erosion, a slow distortion of how you see yourself. You look at someone's highlight reel and treat it like a mirror, forgetting that their best moment is not the full picture. You compare your mess to their polish, your confusion to their confidence, your setbacks to their breakthrough, and then you punish yourself for not being there yet, wherever there is. But here's the truth. Comparison is a thief, not just of joy, but of presence, of purpose, and of identity. The Stoics warned about this too. Epictetus wrote, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Because sometimes growth looks like being misunderstood. Sometimes it looks like moving at a different pace. And that's okay. You were never meant to walk someone else's path. You were never meant to bloom at someone else's speed. You were never meant to live someone else's version of success. Yet you compare and wonder why you feel inadequate. It's not because you're failing. It's because you've stopped noticing your own growth. The truth is, comparison blinds you. It convinces you that your progress doesn't matter unless it looks like theirs. But your life isn't a race. It's a rhythm, and that rhythm is personal. You're not behind. You're not early. You're right on time for your path, for your purpose, for your pace. When you stop comparing, you start noticing how far you've come, noticing the strength it took to survive, noticing the beauty in your becoming. And when you notice, you begin to appreciate. And when you appreciate, you begin to feel free. Free from the noise, free from the pressure, free from the invisible scoreboard you were never meant to play on. The only question that matters is, am I becoming who I'm meant to be? Not, am I better than them? Not, am I further along? Because you can win the race they're running and still lose yourself. Let them walk their path. You walk yours. And when you feel the urge to compare, pause and come back to your breath, your values, your journey. You don't need to outshine anyone. You just need to stay aligned. Aligned with what truly matters. Aligned with what's real for you. That's where peace lives. Reflections. Stop chasing their timeline. Honor your own. You're not behind. You're just building differently. Their success isn't your failure. Their joy isn't your loss. Comparison is noise. Silence it. Measure your growth by who you were yesterday, not by who they are today. You are not them. You were never supposed to be. 5. Resentment toward those who hurt you. They wronged you. They lied. They left. They disappointed you when you needed them most. And you carried it. Not just the pain, but the memory of it. Over and over. Replaying the scene, the words, the silence. You didn't ask for the hurt, but somehow you're the one still holding it. That's what resentment does. It doesn't just remember the pain. It keeps it. It nurses it. It builds a home around it until you forget what life felt like without the weight. And slowly, you stop living in the present. You live in that wound, that moment, that betrayal. But here's the hard truth. Resentment is not protection. It's self-punishment. You think it keeps you safe. You think it keeps them accountable. But in reality, it only keeps you stuck. The Stoics taught this clearly. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." And Seneca added, "To be angry is to punish yourself for the mistakes of others." So the question is, why are you still punishing yourself? Why are you giving that person who already hurt you once permission to keep hurting you in your thoughts? Resentment pretends to be strength, but real strength is in letting go, not because what they did was okay, but because of carrying their offense is blocking your freedom. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means releasing the grip. It means saying, "This pain will not own me." You don't need to reconcile. You don't need to reopen the wound. You just need to stop bleeding from a cut that life already tried to close. Forgiveness is not always for them. It's for you, so you can breathe again, so you can move forward without dragging the past behind you like chains. You owe it to your future self to not live as a prisoner of your past. What they did was about them. How you heal is about you. And healing isn't weakness. It's the ultimate rebellion. Because in a world that says, stay bitter, hold grudges, seek revenge. You choose something softer, something braver. You choose peace. That doesn't make you naive. It makes you whole. The hurt you experienced, it shaped you, yes, but it doesn't have to define you. You can grow past it. You can learn from it. You can live beyond it. Don't let someone's past action keep you from your present joy. Don't give that power away. Close the chapter with grace. Even if they never said sorry, even if they never changed, even if they never understood what they did. Because forgiveness isn't about them getting it. It's about you releasing it. You don't need their apology to begin your peace. You just need the courage to set the weight down. Reflections. The pain was real, but so is your healing. Let go, not for them, but for your freedom. You deserve peace, not prolonged punishment. Resentment won't fix the past, but it will ruin your present. Choose release. Choose grace. Choose to be free. 6. Fear of being judged. You feel it before you speak. That hesitation, that pause, that voice in your head asking, what will they think? So you hold back, you shrink, you overthink, you adjust your words, your expression, your presence, not because it's what you believe, but because you want to protect yourself from judgment. The fear of being judged is one of the most universal burdens. We all feel it, we all dread it, but few realize how much it shapes their life. You avoid taking risks, not because you can't handle failure, but because you're afraid of how it looks. You stay quiet in rooms that need your voice, because you're afraid of standing out. You don't try new things, because someone might laugh. But here's the truth. Everyone is too busy thinking about themselves to judge you as much as you think. Yes, some will judge. That's human. But most people, they're wrapped up in their own insecurities, their own self-image, their own fears. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus reminded us, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Why? Because the path to growth is often misunderstood. Because authenticity isn't always comfortable to witness. Because most people judge what they don't understand, or what they secretly fear in themselves. But you can't live your life waiting for everyone to understand you. That's not freedom. That's performance. And you weren't born to be a performance. You were born to live, to express, to try, to stumble, to learn. You weren't meant to be perfect. You were meant to be real. And real is messy. It's imperfect. It's honest. If you let the fear of being judged run your life, you will betray your gifts, your creativity, your growth, your truth. Let's be clear, you will be judged. No matter what you do, you'll be judged for being too quiet, or too loud, too ambitious, too passive, too emotional, too detached. You can't win at their game, so stop playing it. Your job is not to control their opinion. Your job is to live in alignment with what matters to you. You can't please everyone, and if you try to, you'll lose yourself in the process. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to be true to yourself. The most powerful people aren't those who never get judged. They're the ones who've learned to keep going despite it. So speak, create, show up, even if your voice shakes, because the fear of being judged only has power if you give it permission. You don't need to defend your every move. You don't need to over-explain your choices. You don't need everyone to get it. You just need the courage to keep walking, to keep growing, to keep choosing what aligns with your soul. Not their applause, This is how you reclaim your freedom. Reflections. Not everyone will understand you. Some will judge you. Let them. Their opinions aren't your truth. Their doubts aren't your limit. Stop shrinking to fit in. Start expanding to be real. Say what you mean. Live what you value. The right people won't judge your depth. They'll recognize it, and so will you. 7. Unrealistic expectations of life. You thought things would go differently. By now, you expected to have it all figured out. The career, the relationship, the peace of mind. You expected people to treat you the way you treat them. You expected hard work to always be rewarded. You expected life to make sense, to be fair, to be predictable. But life didn't ask for your expectations. So when things go wrong, you feel not just pain, but betrayal, as if life owes you something it never promised. This is what unrealistic expectations do. They quietly become rules. Rules that no one else agreed to. Rules that life never signed off on. And when those unspoken rules are broken, you suffer, not because life is cruel, but because your idea of how it should be collides with how it actually is. The Stoics understood this well. They didn't aim to control the world. They aimed to see it clearly. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." That craving isn't just for things. It's for control, for predictability, for comfort. But life is not a contract with guarantees. It's a flow of events, some beautiful, some painful, all unpredictable. When you carry unrealistic expectations, you walk into life with a script, only to realize everyone else is improvising. You expect people to be kind, but some won't be. You expect love to be simple, but it rarely is. You expect success to be linear, but it's often chaotic. So what's the answer? Is it to expect nothing? No. The answer is to trade unrealistic expectations for grounded principles. Instead of expecting life to be easy, expect yourself to stay resilient. Instead of expecting people to always do right, expect yourself to respond with grace. Instead of expecting every plan to work, expect yourself to adapt. This shift is subtle, but powerful. It frees you. It keeps you from being crushed by the difference between fantasy and reality. When you expect perfection, you'll always be disappointed. When you expect reality, you can begin to meet it with presence. You stop fighting what is and start working with it. That's what Stoic wisdom offers. Not a way to escape life's chaos, but a way to move through it with steady hands. The problem is not that life is hard. The problem is expecting it to be easy. When you let go of how things should be, you start to see how things are. And from there, you can actually live. You find joy in simplicity, strength in struggle, peace in surrender. You stop demanding that life fits your idea of it and start aligning yourself with the truth of it. Let go of the fantasy, embrace the reality, because life isn't always kind, but it's always honest. And honesty is the soil where wisdom grows. Reflections. Pain is real, but much of it comes from unmet expectations. Life doesn't follow your script, but it's still worth showing up for. Expect less from outcomes. Expect more from your response. The more rigid your ideals, the more fragile your peace. Let life be what it is, not what you demand it to be. Peace begins where expectation ends. 8. Toxic guilt for prioritizing yourself. You say no to something you don't have energy for, and suddenly you feel selfish. You cancel plans to rest, and guilt creeps in. You create space for your own healing, and worry if you're letting others down. This is not just guilt. This is toxic guilt, the kind that convinces you that taking care of yourself is a form of neglecting others, that choosing peace is somehow a betrayal. But here's what most people won't tell you. Burning yourself out to keep others warm is not compassion, it's self-abandonment. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't be present for others when you're constantly absent from yourself. The Stoics understood this tension well. They taught the balance between service and self-awareness, between responsibility and personal boundary. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor philosopher, wrote, "A man should be upright, not kept upright." In other words, your strength should come from within, not from performing for others, not from collapsing your needs to meet every request, but from honoring your values and protecting your core. Yet, somewhere along the way, you were taught that saying yes makes you kind, even when it's a lie, even when it costs you your peace. But what if kindness isn't about saying yes to everything? What if real kindness includes yourself? You are not bad for setting a boundary. You are not selfish for taking care of your energy. You are not cruel for choosing yourself. In a world that keeps demanding more of you, toxic guilt thrives in people who care deeply. It whispers, you should be doing more, even when you're exhausted, even when you've given everything. But here's the reality. No one else can be the guardian of your well-being but you. If you don't choose yourself, the world will keep choosing for you, and it will choose what serves it, not you. You'll be drained, depleted, resentful, but still smiling, still showing up, still pretending everything's fine. That's not noble. That's self-destruction in disguise. Choosing yourself doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care intentionally, from a place of wholeness, not depletion, from clarity, not compulsion. You don't owe everyone your time. You don't owe everyone your energy. You don't have to explain why your needs matter. They just do. And when you honor them, you become more present, more honest, more real. You stop overcommitting. You start showing up authentically. You stop saying yes out of guilt. You start saying yes because you mean it. That's the difference between performance and presence. Toxic guilt will say you're not enough, but self-awareness will remind you. You don't need to prove your worth through overgiving. Your worth is not in how much you sacrifice. It's in how deeply you align with what matters. Let go of the guilt. Let go of the need to please everyone. Let go of the fear that someone will be upset. If you put yourself first, their reaction is not your responsibility. Your peace is. Protect it. Reflections. You are allowed to rest without apology. You are allowed to say no without guilt. You are allowed to choose peace without explanation. Your needs are not a burden. They are a compass. Care for yourself deeply and let that care ripple outward, not from guilt, but from groundedness. 9. The desire to be liked by everyone. Have you ever caught yourself adjusting your words just to avoid offending someone? Have you ever agreed to something you didn't believe in just to keep the peace? Or smiled when you were hurting inside just so people would still like you? The desire to be liked by everyone is deeply human. It stems from our primal need to belong. From the ancient times when exile meant death, to now, when rejection feels like emotional death. But here's the truth. If you're trying to be liked by everyone, you'll eventually lose yourself in the process. You become a mirror, reflecting what others want to see, not who you truly are. You nod when you want to shake your head. You laugh when your heart is not in it. You post things not because they matter to you, but because you crave approval. This kind of living is exhausting, not just mentally, but spiritually. You can't grow roots when you're constantly shifting shapes. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Why? Why do we value the applause of strangers more than the quiet approval of our conscience? Why do we work so hard to avoid being misunderstood, when even the wisest were often hated, rejected, or mocked? Look at Socrates. He died because he stood by what he believed. Look at Epictetus, a slave who became a teacher of emperors. They didn't strive to be liked. They strove to be free. Free from public opinion, free from the addiction to praise. They understood a simple truth. Approval is fleeting. Character is eternal. Let's be clear. There is nothing wrong with being kind, or being respected, or appreciated. But when your peace depends on their approval, you're no longer free. When you stay up at night worrying, "Did I say something wrong? Do they still like me? Did they read my message but ignore it on purpose?" That's not love. That's bondage. The Stoics would ask you to pause and ask yourself, am I living according to my values? Am I acting with courage, justice, and wisdom? Would I still do this, even if no one applauded me for it? Because that's integrity, doing the right thing, even when it costs you likes, followers, or applause. Seneca warned us, a great mind can rise above insults and flattery alike. Meaning, we must become indifferent to both praise and blame. The praise of today becomes the silence of tomorrow. The people who adore you now may ignore you when you stumble, and those who criticize you today might one day quote your words in admiration. So don't build your identity on public opinion. It's like writing your name on the surface of a lake. Instead, ask yourself, who am I when no one's watching? Who am I when the crowd walks away? That's the real you. And if that version of you is honest, grounded, and brave, then you're already far ahead of most. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You just need to be respected by someone. That someone is yourself. Reflections. You were not born to please the world. You were born to live with truth. Not every smile is sincere. Not every silence is agreement. Your values matter more than their approval. Your peace matters more than their praise. The people who truly care for you won't ask you to shrink to fit their comfort. Stand firm in who you are. Not everyone will understand. Not everyone has to, and that is perfectly okay. 10. Waiting for the perfect moment to live. Maybe next month, when work is less busy. Maybe next year, when I've saved more money, lost some weight, felt more confident, gotten over the fear. Then I'll start living. Then I'll be happy. Sound familiar? We all tell ourselves this story, the myth of the perfect moment. That elusive time in the future, when everything aligns, when the weather is just right, the bank account is full, everyone supports us, and we feel completely ready. But here's the truth. That moment never comes, because perfection is not a moment. It's a moving target. Just when you think you've caught it, life throws another unexpected bill, another delay, another fear you didn't know you had. And so you wait, and you wait, until waiting becomes a habit, until life becomes a hallway of delays. And one day, you look back and realize you've been standing in the waiting room of your own life. The Stoics warned us of this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to live. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." He didn't say, wait for clarity. He said, while it's still in your hands, act. Seneca, even more directly, said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." We waste it, hesitating, overthinking, waiting for signs, waiting for green lights from people who don't even care, waiting for our fear to vanish before we move forward. But courage is not the absence of fear. It's action despite fear. You don't need permission to begin. You don't need ideal conditions to change. The wind will never be completely on your back. There will always be something missing, always something to fix, to wait for, to figure out. But that's not a reason to freeze. That's the invitation to move. Perfection is not the starting point. It's often the excuse we use to delay. Think about it. How many things have you already postponed? The book you wanted to write, the place you wanted to travel, the person you wanted to reach out to, the lifestyle you knew in your heart was calling you. And how many times did you say, "Not now, maybe later"? But later is not a guarantee. The Stoics were clear on this. Epictetus said, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best of yourself?" He wasn't talking about being perfect. He was talking about starting. You don't need the full map to take the first step. You don't need the whole staircase to take one rung. Real life happens in the middle of the mess, not after it's cleaned up. Start when it's hard. Start when you feel small. Start when you don't know what's next. That's when it counts the most. If you wait for the stars to align, you'll end up waiting under a sky that never clears. Your life is not a rehearsal. It's the main act. No one is coming to tap you on the shoulder and say, "Now's the time, go live." That voice has to come from within you. The one that says, "This is enough. I am enough. And this moment is my beginning." Reflections. The perfect moment is not some distant destination. It's the breath you're taking right now. Every second you delay your life, you trade presence for illusion. There will always be risks, always fears, but there will never be another now. Start where you are, with what you have, however imperfect it feels. This is not a waiting room. This is your life. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, don't just nod and move on. Pause, reflect, then take one small action today. Leave a comment with the words, "I choose to begin now." Share this video with someone who keeps waiting for the right time. And subscribe for more calm, reflective reminders to stop delaying life and start living it.